Ciao a tutti, questo è il vlog per quanto riguarda il congresso internazionale di medicina integrata. Ho conosciuto tantissime persone, ho avuto un'esperienza fantastica, ho visto che a livello proprio mondiale c'è tantissima voglia di voler integrare queste metodiche di medicina all'interno dei propri presidi ospedalieri e c'è tantissima unione, insomma tantissime notizie che vedrete, ma non mi aspettavo nemmeno io di avere così tanta collaborazione da parte delle persone. Quindi vi lascio con questa bellissima immagine di Sant'Angelo che si rispecchia nel Tevere e niente, le interviste saranno tutte in inglese perché essendo un congresso mondiale nessuno parla italiano, pochissime persone, e buona visione e ciao ciao! Eccomi alla stazione, pronto per partire per il congresso.
First, I congratulate geologists from the University of South Australia, a paper titled Complementary Full Power Field.
Qua troviamo la sala poster dove verranno presentati tutti i poster, tra cui anche quello che presento io. Questi sono tutti i paesi presenti al congresso, quindi in totale sono 556 persone che parlano da 51 paesi e questa è l'entità delle persone presenti al congresso. Mi sembra c'è un monte di gente, principalmente sono Europa e America, dall'Asia viene poca gente, però comunque è sempre presente. Mi dispiace, piccino c'è la Russia, ora a noi, come si fa? Comunque, anche guarda, Egitto, tutta la parte dell'Arabia, Israele ha delle cose molto belle, quindi aspettiamo. Adesso andiamo a intervistare un po' di persone per capire da dove vengono e perché sono qua. So, from which part of the world do you come from?
From Portugal. I'm working in Portugal.
Okay.
And he's working in Chile and in Japan.
Okay, and what do? You're a physician?
Yeah. We are promoting integrative medicine in Japan.
Ah, really?
I don't know if you know something about promotion of integrative medicine in Japan.
Yeah, not in Japan, but in Italy. Well, I mean, I do the same.
And not only in Japan, but also in several countries in the world.
Okay.
And he is working in Chile.
Okay.
And I'm working in Portugal.
Okay, so
Okay.
you come from Japan,
Japan,
but you work in
yes,
different
originally
places from the original country.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really nice to meet you,
Nice to
and
meet
I'm glad to see you here.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Voi da che parte venite invece?
Noi veniamo da Firenze.
Allora, voi siete la parte del fior di prugna, giusto? Quindi tutta l'equipe, parte dell'equipe del fior di prugna. Che mansione avete sostanzialmente? Cioè che categoria lavorativa siete? Medici, infermieri, fisioterapisti?
Io fisioterapista.
Ok.
Medico agopuntore. Fisioterapista.
Ok.
Medico agopuntore.
Ok. E cosa vi aspettate principalmente da questo congresso? Cioè che informazioni vorreste trovare?
Ma come vuol dire? Idee nuove, progetti nuovi e soprattutto tante integrazioni.
Where you come from?
I'm from Brazil.
Okay, and you?
We're both
Brazil,
from
both from Brazil. Okay. And what you do? You're a physician. You are both physicians.
Yes. Yeah, we're both
Okay.
doctors. They're pediatricians.
Ah, pediatrician. Nice. And what do you expect from this congress?
I expect to get a little more knowledge just to know what I'm gonna get for my master's degrees.
Okay. And you?
Know a little more about different kinds of medicine.
Okay. Where you come from?
I come from Brazil.
Okay, so there's a lot of people come from Brazil. I interviewed a lot of people in Brazil. Yeah. And I see that you work with social media too. I mean, Brazilian people. There are a lot of MTC staff in social media. And what's your job? I mean, you're a physician. You're a nurse. What kind of job?
I'm a physician and I work with development and innovation in herbal medicines.
Nice,
Yes.
nice. And what do you expect? What did you expect from this congress?
Well, I'm searching for the news, the innovation, and also for networking because there are a lot of important people here who I might get to know, and well, I'm here to listen to the news, basically.
Where do you come from? Okay.
From Japan.
Okay. And all of you? Okay, perfect. And what you are a physician, a nurse? What kind of job?
I'm a licensed acupuncture and specialist.
Ah, nice, nice. And what did you expect from this congress?
I'm a co-author of the research on the Japanese style acupuncture,
Okay.
and I'm presenting tomorrow
Okay.
my research
I'm glad.
as well as the harm.
With you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in which room you do your speaking?
It's a poster session.
In the poster station.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will be with you tomorrow
Yeah, tomorrow.
after lunch,
Maybe before lunch.
before lunch. Okay.
In the morning? Not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I will come, of course, just to
just
document
introduce my-
everything. Yeah. I will document everything of this event, and I'm glad of your time. So thank you so much. Where you come from?
From Brazil.
From Brazil, and you too from Brazil.
States.
United States.
United States.
Okay, wonderful. So, and what's your job? I mean, you're a physician, a nurse,
No, I'm a physical education professional. And,
I'm an obstetrician gynecologist. A physician.
Ah,
Yes,
you're-
OB/GYN, yes.
Okay. And what did you expect from this congress?
wow. I think that she can answer this before.
What did you expect?
Changing the world.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good point of view. But it's just a good point of view. I mean, where do you come from?
I'm from London.
You come from London.
Yeah.
And what's your job?
I'm a public health practitioner and I'm also doing my PhD in musculoskeletal health.
Okay. Okay. And what did you expect from this congress?
Oh, I'm expecting to broaden my knowledge, especially regarding my research work, because I'm working with people that have pain. So we are looking at people practicing yoga, acupuncture treatment. So I want to get more evidence, get more knowledge from all those expert people. Then I'll put it into practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking, and I'm glad to see you here. And I hope in the next days we will see you again.
Yeah.
Okay. And you from?
London, United Kingdom.
From London too.
And you?
From Florence. Yeah, I'm Italian here, from Italy.
Okay, so I'm based in London and I run a very successful group of all-party parliamentary group on Indian traditional sciences, which includes Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani medicine, Siddha medicine, homeopathy, Jyotish, which is India's astronomy, astrology, and Vastu, which is India's environmental engineering. So we have a group of very 30 powerful members of parliament from both houses of parliament, from all parties, which are looking at the possibility of how the government can incorporate, how we can legitimize, the values of traditional sciences into the health architecture of the United Kingdom.
Okay, in the NHS. So.
That's right.
Okay.
And you'll be very pleased to know that we have an amazing study going on at the moment where it's a government-to-government study which our group, the parliamentary group, has put together to look at how some particular Ayurveda herbs can look at addressing issues relating to people who are suffering from long COVID. I think about 30% of the people who survived COVID went on to develop long COVID. And so we have a study now which is sponsored by the Government of India. It's led by the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, where 2,500 patients from NHS hospitals are actually being evaluated through this medicament.
So it's a nice work. I mean, that's a lot of information.
There cannot be anything better than that.
Because
Because what we have to do, we were in this Parliament building now, where we had the opening ceremony, and the deputy minister for health was there, from Italy, and he was saying we need evidence. If the Italians and the Bulgarians and the Europeans and the British and the Americans don't want to accept the evidence from India, then they have to experiment to do research their own way. Because
But now there's a lot of evidence. I mean,
yes, there is. Yes,
you have to be blind to don't see it.
You see, the thing is that they will say, "Oh, we're not interested." First, they will say this is alternative, because the thing is that any company who wants to do research, any pharmaceutical company, they can only research with nature.
Yeah.
So when they research with nature, then they synthesize that nature, and then they make money out of that. And then when you say to them you're using a natural product, they say, "Oh, no, this is some alternative stuff." Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about money sometimes.
About money, yeah. And then you have a situation where they would say, "Okay, well, then give us the evidence." And even if you give them evidence, they're still not satisfied. So I arranged a meeting in the EU Parliament in 2021, and so we had a large gathering of people. There were some European Union parliamentarians there. So they were saying, we need evidence, we need this, and I said, okay, look, why don't we compromise? You give us the evidence where you have understood that our systems don't work.
But there's no evidence that it doesn't work because it works.
So it's really politics, really. And many politicians, they do use traditional integrative medicine, but they're too scared to talk about it.
Because it's like talking about magic, but it's not magic, just the nature.
So they use it for their family, they use it for their children, they use it for their families, but they don't want to talk about it because they want to toe the policy line of their political party.
But hopefully, I think that we can, like this event, it's important just to talk about it.
What I would like you to do, if you don't mind, is please let me have a list of some of your colleagues, some members of the European Parliament, and if you know some, because we are setting up also a group like that we have in London. So we will set up a group of European parliamentarians. It doesn't matter what party they're from, it doesn't matter what country they're from. So we have a united voice. So we have these parliamentarians who understand that there is a freedom of choice.
Yeah.
If we can live in Italy, you can eat what you want, you can wear what you want, you can practice whatever faith you want. So when it comes to our own health, why must they say, no, you have no choice? So I would like your help. I'll give you my contact details. If you have any info and if you are if you are keen to help, then I invite you to the Brussels Parliament. We will be holding our event in November this year.
From which part of the world you come from?
I came from Prague.
Okay. And what's your job? You're a physician?
I'm the director of the Institute for TCIM, Traditional Complementary and Integrative Medicine in Prague. And I'm a man who has been involved in spiritual healing, energy healing for all his life.
So, and what did you expect from this Congress?
Očekáváte od kongresu?
Ano,
Tohoto.
navštívil jsem již podobný kongres podruhé a je to velká příležitost nacházet spolupráci mezi EBM a ostatními obory.
It's my second edition of the Congress I have visited, and I find this very useful because integration of TCIM and EBM is something very useful.
You come from London, right? Okay, and what's your job?
I'm a DNA biologist based in Cambridge.
Ah, okay, nice. And what did you expect from this Congress?
Well, I'm here, I've been interacting with this group for many years now, and there is an interface between modern biology that I do and ancient sciences, ancient systems, that can be useful for future health.
Okay, so you integrate these two parts of
Exactly,
the biology,
the
the older
ancient
and the newest.
or the newest, to give a future for where health and well-being should be looked at, you know.
Of course.
So I interact with many of the teams here, and we engage in the European Parliament. With Amajit, I engage in the UK Parliament. So we are doing a lot of work, but we need to accelerate it. We need our parliamentarians to become a little more aware of what we are discussing here. And unless parliamentarians become aware of this, we will not get policy changes. So this is a bit of a challenge for us.
Yeah, and I think that you're on the right way. I mean, it's in Italy. It's not like that. I mean, there's in the national services but it's a few people that do it, not a lot, and not like you. Biologists, there are no biologists in Italy.
Let me give you an example of where policy change has already happened, but people are not aware of it. So there are two countries in the EU out of the 27, Germany and Italy, that has a special gazette, parliamentary gazette, that talks about health promotion and disease prevention.
Okay.
So it's already discussed in Parliament,
Yeah.
but nobody knows about it.
Okay,
The
so
journalists-
they're disgusting, but nobody
Nobody knows that there are two countries who have already decided that we must have measures, policy must come to promote health, prevent disease. So there are some gaps like this. So outside my DNA work, these are the kind of things I engage with.
Okay.
So I like to see more parliamentarians to be educated about what is happening.
And it's really difficult, but we can afford it.
We cannot forget.
Yeah, and not
it
forget,
is-
never forget.
It's very, very important that they become aware of what is happening here. Look at the number of industries.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Many industries. They don't realize that. And they're doing amazing things.
Yeah.
Look at that. Chronic complaints due to food hypersensitivity. There are many people in the European Union who suffer from food hypersensitivity. Food is a very important part of the next part of the European Union policy making. And they don't know there is a company here talking about food hypersensitivity.
And we are here to let them know.
Exactly. Two things. The company doesn't know that we need to engage with politicians. The politicians don't know there are things happening here. So this is unfortunate. So there is a gap in what is...
Yeah, so we will make this gap full.
We are to fill this gap. We say there is ignorance and there is ignorance about ignorance. And we are in that stage
Yeah, okay.
where people are ignorant about their own ignorance about what is happening here.
Yeah.
So if we were to capture a few seconds from each of these presenters, then it'll be quite amazing. I want to introduce a senior colleague here from Africa.
Ah, from Africa. Nice to meet you.
And this is his home for the last
Romano de Roma.
So, for
De
the
Roma,
last,
poi
for the
Roma.
last 30 years, he has been living in Rome.
Ok.
And he connects with Africa, with Cameroon, and he has
Central
been.
African Republic.
They have been building hospitals.
Yeah, Mali,
I believe
Burkina
you,
Faso.
sir.
No, go
so
ahead.
you build a hospital in a lot of places.
Yes. Hospitals and
Most of all,
schools.
if I may just interject, sorry.
Yeah.
Please tell them about your connection in Rome. He's a theologian
Yes.
and
philosopher.
a philosopher
Yes.
and has written
So
several
many
textbooks
So many books.
on sociology, philosophy, religion, development,
law,
and he is here. He is a priest. He's a vicar.
No, I'm not a priest.
Not a priest.
No,
Okay,
no,
you're
no.
theologian.
None of this. I'm a layperson. One of the few cases, because I have been directing for the last 10 years the first Department of African Studies in the Vatican. And people were doubting how a layperson would be directing a department in the Vatican because they have always seen a priest, a bishop, a cardinal. Now I was a layperson. So since we have a theory ourselves that those who were directing before us, it was because they studied, they were trained, they had education. Now that we lay people have been able to have access to education to the maximum level, we could direct any place. There's no reason why there should be a priest. We train people who become priests, who become religious. Okay? But I'm a layperson. I train the young people, they become priests, they become religious, they become brothers, and they do their job. And I do my job as a layperson, as a Christian. And you see, that's the way I serve the church.
And it's a nice way to see it, and I'm really impressed about your work.
Yeah.
Really impressed.
I have been teaching African philosophy, history of African philosophy in Gregorian,
Okay.
in Urbaniana,
Okay.
in Lateran University. And the Department of African Studies based in Lateran, I've been the director for 10 years. Now I am emeritus.
Okay.
I finished because I'm old. It doesn't seem bad I'm old.
No, it doesn't look.
No, it doesn't look, but I have more than 70 years old, so I have to leave the teaching, but I continue to work with African countries.
So you continue with your work.
Work now, this time is only work and projects and so on, implementation with partners. Like in this case, how many partners do I meet here? So many partners who want to do something. We offer them the chance to do something in Africa.
Nice.
Without a problem, no problem. Yes.
So, thanks to get the chance to the others to work with you and make this world better.
We want to make partnership. We are in the phase of partnerships with the rest of the world. The young people in Europe cannot say they are jobless. The young people in Africa cannot say they are jobless because there is job in Europe and there is job in Africa. So young people, if you are in partnership, these European young people who say they have nothing to do here, we offer them something to do in Africa.
Of course.
The next day,
so
they have to go to work.
There's the chance, you have to grab it.
We have it. We have the possibility. Let them come and work. Okay. We give offer them the chance through partnership, exchange programs.
Yeah, exchange program.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we're working on.
Get my name here.
Okay, perfect.
Um,
So you are Ayurveda?
so I'm not Ayurveda. I'm a person that has background in the study of drugs and how they work on the body, which is called pharmacology. And I also studied neuroscience, which is the study of the brain and the nerves and how it connects the body. And then I went to medical school. And I learned biomedical medicine because by that time I was already interested in TCIM, but the people in power, I have to say that they're MDs. They get the most in the USA and in India, actually. And then I also worked in public health around the world in medical missions. And everywhere I went, we were trying to help them get good drugs like the INRA, the International Network for the Rational Use of Drugs, or the Essential Drugs List. We were trying to help them. They wanted their own cultural traditional medicines, and we found that they would take the drugs, oftentimes to sell them and make money, but about 75% of people were using the traditional medicines. So I started asking, well, what is in this traditional medicine? And it's in every country that there are people using it, and it's in every country that people like biomedical, the status, what we in India call English medicine, and what we in America call traditional medicine is modern white coat medicine. So in different cultures, it's seen in different ways. So I practiced for many years, and then I was given a Fulbright scholarship to go and study. And I wanted to study the concept of immunity in an ancient culture. Did they understand immunity before we had T cells and B cells and immune system? And I went to Ayurveda, and the dean there invited me to stay and do a PhD in Ayurveda. And so I worked on diabetes, and I worked on immunity. And it's interesting how Ayurveda, which has been around for thousands of years, understood these things very well, and they know how to measure it, and they know how to treat it in ways that are very different from modern medicine. So now I work with patients who are having immune problems, whether they're autoimmune, like rheumatoid problems, or whether they are hyperimmune, hypersensitivity, yes, or whether they have cancer, which is also an alteration, or whether they have immunodeficiency, whether they have infections that can't be cured easily. So all of these are problems of the immune system. And I love Ayurveda because it works so well when you apply it correctly. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm really pleased to be here at this Congress because I've done a lot of study and I've been in dozens and dozens of projects, and they never talk to each other. Oftentimes, there's one group of people that remains kind of in the center, and everyone else, all the work they're doing doesn't ever get known. And so it's good to see a Congress like this where people are learning about what the others are doing. And they're thinking about, how does this apply to the way that I practice? How can I network better and know what else is available? And when you are patient-centered and you're looking for anything that works for the patient, whether it's TCIM as you're studying, or Ayurveda as I studied, or Kampo as the Japanese study, or Yoruba medicine as the West African studies, they're all using things to help the patient get better.
Of course.
And some people focus on intellectual property rights, but many just focus on the patient. If it works on the patient, it's fine.
Yeah, of course. So this is the moment just to let people talk about it and create connection.
Yes.
So,
Yes, but there's a lot of awareness building that needs to happen. Many people in one group, for example, Ayurveda, most people do not understand how Ayurveda works. And in most of the modern medical area, I just talked with Hélène Longon, the director of the American Complementary Medicine Group at the NIH. And she was saying, we really don't know, and that's why we're putting grants out there to find out more about how Ayurveda works. We want to know. So, but people need to build awareness. They need to know what else is going on. They need to really come into it and not say mine is the best, but what else works. And I think many of the people here have that attitude. So it's really wonderful to be here.
Yeah, of course. I think the same of you. I mean, it's a wonderful things, and we have to people let them know how it works, and with a right approach, because sometimes the wrong approach does not make you feel well.
Well, the right and wrong depends on who's speaking.
Yeah.
The right approach is the one where the patient's preference and the patient values are respected, and it's in the right time of year, the right space, and when all of it comes together, it's correct. And if it's not, then it's oftentimes not correct for the patient. If you say this is methodologically not right, sometimes the methodology is right and it's not good for the patient, it's not pragmatic.
Of course.
Yes.
Sono blu come un cielo tra punto di stelle.
La prima giornata del congresso si è conclusa, tantissime informazioni, tantissime persone e spero continui così per gli altri 3 giorni. Ciao ciao!